What's tonight, folks? If this team get beat, we in the final four.
He's a poor man LeBron, bro, when it comes to trades. It's like, you guys look at, KD went to Golden.
Down 3 games, it's a quick sweep.
Not cap if you want to. Cap if you want to. Cap if you want to.
You know what's in me.
When I said that they let James Harden do the same thing and let Kevin Durant do the same thing, and they're essentially letting James Harden do the same thing again.
I said Kevin Durant should have took a 50-50 blame, and Westbrook should have took a 50-50 blame too.
Bust motherfucking down. Welcome back to another episode. B2B. Moo, let you be here. Oh, look at this motherfucker. I knew that shit was gonna happen. What's up, Moo? I pressed the button already, so I kind of felt I was gonna press it and Moo was gonna pop his ass out.
Yeah, I'm here, man. What's up? You already
What's
know
up, brother?
what's going on, man.
Shit. We got some good topics to talk about, some trades that spinning around. But first we're gonna start with Nico is out, baby. Nico Harrison has been fired by the Dallas Mavericks. What was the guy name that they replaced him with? Do I have it here? I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I got it here. 1 second.
Sorry, I should have had that ready.
I literally just
While Moolich is looking for it. Now I know everybody's they're looking at the Dallas trade. I want to see if I can get this picture a little bigger. Here we go. We're looking at the Dallas trade and then him getting rid of Luka Doncic. But why Moo? Did you find it? Not yet.
like it don't. Well, it says Michael Finley right now.
There you go, Michael Finley. That's his name. Yes. So Michael Finley is.
Yeah, and then they said they're supposed to be at the end
leaning
of the season,
on.
You're reevaluating.
Oh yeah, and they said they're gonna lean on Jason Kidd for right now too.
Yeah.
So
have a really heavy influence in who's supposed to be the next GM for
GM. Yes. So looking back at Nico's career with the Mavs, players he traded: Josh Richardson, Kristaps Porzingis, Trey Burke, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Sterling Brown, Marquise Chris, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, Dave Bertans, Reggie Bullock, Grant Williams, Seth Curry, Rashawn Holmes, Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Green's picks traded. I don't know how to pronounce that dude name. Pettery to New York, 2022 second to Washington, 23 first to OKC, 24 first to Washington via OKC. Some other guy to the Knicks, 2024 second to Sac, 25th second to Philly via Charlotte, 25th second to Detroit via Toronto, 27 first top 2 protected to Charlotte, 27 second to Brooklyn, 28 first swap to OKC. Then we got 2028 second to Sac, 2028 second to Charlotte via Clippers, 2028 second to Toronto via Miami, 2029 second to Brooklyn, and 2029 first to Brooklyn or Houston. I'm not even almost done. Players acquired. Players acquired. He got Moses Brown, Spencer Dinwiddie, David Bertans, Christian Woods, Kyrie Irving, Markieff Morris, Rashard Holmes, Grant Williamson, P.J. Washington, Daniel Gafford, Quentin Grimes, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, Chris Maxey, Caleb Martin. Picks acquired. He got Jaden Harden in 2022, Derek Lively the second in 2023, Oliver Max, Oliver Max, 2023. 2024, he had a first via OKC, 2024 second via Boston. Some other guy, 2024, Melvin, I don't know how to say his last name. 2025 second via Toronto, 2025 second via Detroit, 2028 second via Miami, 2028 second via Charlotte, slash the Lakers, 29 first via the Lakers, and 32nd, the 2030 second via Philly. So that is all the moves that have been made under Nico Harris.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. It was kind of shocking to see him have this job.
Hold on. Hold on, Moo. There's some more names I forgot. And players traded: Luka Doncic, Max Kleber, Marquise Morris, and Quentin Grimes. And then picks traded. He also traded the 2030 second to Boston, 2030 first swap with Sacramento, and the 2021 second to Philly.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. It's crazy that Mark Cuban and the Mavs like ownership group stuck with him this long. Honestly, like I said, I really don't understand how he even had the job in the first place, considering he's the guy who botched the Steph Curry Nike deal. So like when you think about that and how just utterly unprepared that was, and then you pair that with everything else that transpired with the Mavs and him obviously, displaying bad business moves. It's not surprising, bro. Honestly, like I said, I really don't understand how he had a job this long in the first place. But it's not you're not going to be able to get away with moves this detrimental to an organization for this long and go unchecked. Like somebody's going to have something to say about it. Somebody's going to be mad about it. And then on top of that, I think a lot of people like maybe on that side, right? They forget the fan aspect. I think a lot of people forget the fan aspect, and the fans really make a big, like they can really make or break somebody's career or a franchise. So like when trading Luka Doncic, that definitely didn't sit well with the fans. And then on top of that, everybody finding out after the fact that he's the guy with that botched the Steph Curry deal, and then pairing that with all the other stuff that he's done that was probably questionable in the fans' eyes. Like fans in the NBA, maybe not so much in the NFL, but fans in the NBA specifically, they really have a lot more pull than people think, right? And I feel like he was already kind of skating on thin ice prior, but after the Luka trade, I know a lot of people were really, really turned off by him. So, and you just heard it a lot with the fans, like throughout their assessments, throughout their words, and even after acquiring AD, right? We understand that Kyrie's hurt right now, right? We understand that they got Klay Thompson, but and then they acquired the first round, the first pick in the draft. Even after all of that, there's still a lot of people that really didn't like him and was still really turned off by him. So I think a lot of people forget that aspect, that the fans really play a part in somebody's job or what these franchises do. And yeah, they got him up out of there, man. Shoot, rightfully so. I don't think he deserved that job in the first place.
I mean, sometimes it's time to cut the cord. Sometimes things are done before you cut that cord that you cannot come back from. I know I heard on First Thing First that they were saying that the league and Adam Silver should have vetoed the trade.
I don't think they could.
They have the power to. They have the power to. Doesn't mean they necessarily should.
And that's the thing, right? So like, if people are saying that the Premier League saying that they should have vetoed the trade, you have to give a legitimate reason as to why.
Yeah. So
and I hate when they bring that up because they always misconstrue that when it comes to the Lakers and Chris Paul situation.
I get the fans wanting them gone. You do trade a star away like Luka, but I do think the reasoning behind why Luka was traded is somewhat legit. In the fact of him being overweight, not wanting to play defense, not knowing if he's your star of the future or just your star right now. I think we talked about this on the show a lot. That sometimes you pull the trigger early, sometimes you pull the trigger on time, and sometimes you pull the trigger too late. And I think in Nico's position, he didn't want to pull the trigger too late. In that list of names that I just rattled off of people he got and picks he got for the people he got, there are some pretty good names there. Some of them are around the league right now. He is a part of bringing the PJ Washington and the Gafford over, which helped the Dallas tremendously while Luka was there. I think he did some good. I think he made some mistakes. Do you trade Luka at that time has always been the question, especially up here for us. Was it the right time to trade him? I think some of the guys up here did agree that it was time you give him up. But I don't think the owners had the same ideas, which switches me to kind of my sentiment for the last couple of weeks here on Basket to Basket and inside the huddle. It begs the question, how involved should owners be with their teams? Now, if you watched Ish last week, especially 2 weeks ago, me and Mel had a heated debate about the Colts owner being on the field, trying to learn the game because her father owned the team, passed away. She took over. She's trying to learn the game. So she's on the field with a headset on, listening in, seeing how things are called, what things are. And I rose the question that, more owners should kind of do that. More owners should be involved. And Mel's response to that is you put coaches and general managers and people like that in places to do the job so you don't have to. And I'm not asking for owners to do the job. I'm asking for owners to be involved in the job. So when a trade like this, right, with Luka about to be traded, top five player in the league right now, right? At the time that he was traded, he was top 5, right? Don't you think, Mulich, the owners should have some say in that?
I think so. I think Mark Cuban probably did, honestly. But
so are you saying in that sense that Nico is the fall guy? Because there's no way a trigger is pulled that big and the owners don't be like, nah, what you doing? Like there's got to be some level of you have to report to me before you make moves like that or any moves, right? If you're going to trade somebody, get rid of somebody, I want you to run it by me, right? Explain to me how this player fits in with why you don't want the players that you're trading away and how the new players that you're bringing in fits into the scheme that we're trying to run, right? And if that's the case, that should have been done for Luka, right? And if it is what it is now and everybody's putting the pressure on Nico because of that Luka trade, don't you think some of that falls also on the owners?
True. Now, the only pushback I would have on that is how much of this deal was conducted without the owner's knowledge.
That we don't know.
And that brings me to, the point that we were arguing with Mel last week is the owners should be more involved. Like whether they're in the press box, whether they're on the court or on the field, they should be more involved in what goes on with their team. They shouldn't be just sitting back, kind of just signing checks or whatever the case may be, and just worried about everything. Like you guys should be more involved in what happens with your team because that shows that you care and that you're willing to make certain sacrifices. You're willing to do certain things that other owners may not be willing to do to be successful, right? For example, when Magic Johnson got to the Lakers in 2020, everybody, it was clear that there was a lot of back and forth, right, between Magic Johnson's side and the other sides of the ownership group. It's the reason why he ended up leaving, et cetera, right? But it was clear that what Magic was bringing in, because he was more coming from also the player side, it was clear that what he was bringing in and what he was attributing to the team was going to help the team be successful. Now, obviously, you got the owners on the other side that have their specific plans and so on and so on and so forth, right? But that's how you can kind of see that kind of back and forth or that kind of disagreement when it comes to certain parts of the ownership group and maybe the GM. Now, I understand the kind of the role to where it's like, hey, Nico could be the fall guy. Because right, we could attack the angle to where it's like, he could have ran it by the owners. Like he could have been like, hey, yo, like Or, right? The owners could have approached Nico, right? Because we know Mark Cuban is heavily involved in basketball, in the basketball operations. We know he's heavily involved in the Mavericks owners group, even though he did take more of a back seat. We know he's still heavily involved, right? So who's to say that, just like you said, Nico could have been the fall guy. So who's to say that the ownerships, because of all the narratives that is surrounding Luka Doncic in the sports tabloids, on these sports shows, First Take, First Things First, etc., and then on top of that, with the fans saying that he can't play defense, can't move his feet, he's out of shape, blah blah blah, all the extra stuff. Who's to say that the ownership didn't come to Nico like, yeah, we got to do something, bro. You got to trade it. It's not working out with Kyrie. We need to get better defensively. Obviously, he's not willing to do that, so we got to trade it. And obviously, right, we understand that when trades happen, nobody ever looks at the owners. How many owners get looked at when trades happen?
Everybody it goes back to my point. When you're a bad franchise, it's easy to blame it. And I'm not saying the Mavs are a bad franchise, but when you're a bad franchise, it's easy to blame shit on coaches. And that same sentiment is here. Coaches get blamed for every fucking thing. And quite frankly, Troy is tired of it. Troy is tired of us blaming coaches, whether it's in football, whether it's in the UFC. I don't give a fuck who it is. Excuse me. I'm tired of coaches always getting blamed because coaches aren't the ones out there on the field. Coaches aren't the one telling people what the budgets are. Coaches aren't the ones signing these guys to contracts. Right? They don't deal with the coaches when they're signing their contracts. They deal with the owners. Those are the ones who sign off on their damn contracts and their checks. When something goes wrong and players come out and they tell you, hey, I had this beef with the coach. We look at that, we're like, yeah, fuck that coach. But when you go, I got this beef with these owners, it's just like, oh, well, those are the owners. You're either going to do what they want you to, or you're going to go somewhere. And I don't think that's fair. I think on the ownership, and in both the sports we talk about over here from the sideline, in basketball, I think ownership needs to start taking some accountability for what's going on in their organization. Because at the end of the day, it is their organization. It's not the coach's organization. You feel me? The coach is getting paid to run the team, just the team. A lot of coaches, most coaches that are not GMs don't have control over the players they get, who gets traded. But at the GM level, that's corporate to me, right? The coach to me is the manager of the store, right? The GM is the fucking the lower level of fucking corporate. You feel me? So it's like, and then it goes up, but those guys up, right? Those guys up always check on the guys under them, and I don't think it wasn't done here, or it was, and Nico is just the fall guy for it.
I guess to build onto your point, right? I guess to build onto your point, we see why keep it in the business aspect of things, right? We see why a lot of bad companies are bad companies, right? Because their owners don't do the specific checks that they're supposed to do, right? And this is the reason why that you can attribute it to business. And you can even use the example of Red Lobster, right? They closed thousands and thousands and thousands of restaurants, hired a new CEO, right? So he's the new owner of all of this new franchise, but he closed down a lot of the restaurants so that he can be more accessible to go to these restaurants to do the proper upgrades that he needs to do. Right. So he's being more involved because he has the opportunity to be involved because they're not so stretched so thin. Right. So even in this aspect, when you look at the owners and how some of them are involved and some of them are not involved. And I'll give you an example. We can go to the sports world. Right. We can look at the 76ers owners. Right. And we can say that or we can ask the question, how involved are they, considering that the GMs and the all the other staff members, from the budget guys to accounting or everybody else, etc., are all nepo babies. They're all high. They're all the son of somebody else who's a coach or who also works in the executive office of the 76ers. So when it comes down to basketball acumen, basketball decisions that make the team better, and we'll sit here and wonder why certain teams aren't getting better. It's because a lot of these guys are having their sons, their siblings, their nephews or nieces or whatever the fucking case may be work alongside them, and they don't know or they don't understand the game of basketball to the intricate level that a lot of people that are getting passed up do. And so you understand that a lot of these things are just revolving doors, and it's just going to keep going in circles of badness because the owners don't care to really be involved, and the people who they're appointing don't really care to be that much involved. So the head coach and the GM are just sitting back like, yo, we need help. And they're just like, well, fix it, nigga. That's why we put you here, right? And it's like, well, you can't put us here with no resources. You can't put a whole bunch of wood in front of me and tell me to build a house with no tools. So like, and then you can even look at the Jets ownership group to take it back to football, right? Woody Johnson has been in the tabloids and has been around social media spaces for the past few weeks because the old Florida State quarterback, Jordan Travis, he came out and was like, yeah, like he's just a horrible person. He's a terrible guy. Like they drafted me knowing that they had just signed Aaron Rodgers and they were telling me that I was supposed to be this the savior of the franchise and all this stuff and yin yang, all this stuff. And I'm not even healthy yet. And then coming down the pipeline before he medically retired, right? He asked him like, yo, are you ever going to get healthy? And he's just like, bro, like shit, I've had like 3 fucking surgeries on my ankle alone. Like, I'm completely like it's not that's the side of my control. I can't sit up here and tell my body when to get healthy or not, right? And so when you look at that and you pair all that, it's like ownerships, they should be more involved, and a lot of them do have to take a lot of the blame. Just like Troy said the other day or last Friday when we were talking about this coaching thing again with the Browns. It's like, yes, we understand that Kevin Stefanski is to blame for a lot of the Browns' turmoil and struggles. But at the same time, the point that Troy brought up is how much ownership how much blame does ownership take for allowing him to be there that long?
Shit, anybody to be there that long. Even here in Nico's, like you said earlier, Nico shouldn't have been here that long. Like, so what kind of onus do we put on the owners for keeping Nico in this position for so long, or any other GM around the NBA world that's in their position for so long, right? And not getting the job done. Like we can go to what is the Boston's Danny Ainge? Was it Danny Ainge that we just got rid of? Danny Ainge. He was with Boston for so long because he was getting things done, integral pieces here, things there. And it was when it was time to let him go, Boston didn't wait to let him go. We let him go when it was the right time to let him go because we understand, the ownership understands, like, hey, we kind of need somebody else in that place. And then you get a Brad Stevens who's, a brilliant mind too, that can go in there and kind of freshen things up and come into this new era of basketball with that kind of thinking and not Danny Ainge's old way of thinking. But then look up also Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge then goes to the Jags. The Jags. He then goes to the Jazz and does what? Pulls off a fucking crazy trade that to this day we cannot believe that he pulled off to get rid of Rudy Gobert.
Yep.
That's the type of GM that you want. That's the type of GM that you hold on to. But when his time is up and it's time to let him go, you let him go. It's just like, if I'm not mistaken, Jerry West.
Yep.
Same thing with Jerry. When it was time to let him go, he went somewhere else and then redid it. You feel me? So it's like, if we're keeping these coaches, GMs, whoever it is in these positions, then we as the owners have to take some of what's going on with our team. And that's all I've been saying. It's like, we can't keep sitting here and be like, yo, it's Jason Kidd's fault that Dallas is playing that way and it's his fault. No, it's Jason Kidd's fault. It's the players' fault. It's the owner's fault. It's the GM's fault. It's all them niggas' fault because somebody's not following that chain to figure out why the team isn't good. And a lot of times it's all about the money. Like Mooley said a little while ago, like people come in or they're putting their people in place and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. But what they do know what they're doing is making sure they get to that bottom line. Like, okay, well, Luka is set to make this much. I could get him off the books, bringing this. Now I got a little less money. I could be under that apron. And then with the second apron coming into play now, a lot of these moves that we're going to see, because we're going to see a lot more. I don't know if to the standard, to that sentiment of what Luka was to his team to be traded like that. But we'll see a lot of more superstars get moved around because of this, because people are going to start cutting ties. John Morant, he's going to be one guy that's probably be going by the trade deadline right here. We're going to talk about him in a little bit because there's a couple of teams looking at him. You got a guy like Larry Marketing who's maybe a star or all-star or whatever you want to call him. There are guys around the league that people are like, yeah, we could just replace these guys, take less money, get less money on the books, and then work it out some other way. But when that is also what you want to do, then you have to take some of that onus of why your team is bad.
That's true. That's true.
Everybody, Klay Thompson not playing up to par. But what's going on that Klay Thompson isn't playing up to par? What's going on? Cooper Flag, you're throwing him in a position he's not used to playing. Is he going to succeed in that position? That falls on coaching. That falls on, the gym. Hey, I don't think you're utilizing these guys right. It was the same thing that we talked about last year with the Knicks, with Tom Thibodeau. And while ultimately Tom Thibodeau got fired, it was because he was not using his personnel to the way the general manager and the people that was in his ear wanted him to use it. So it's like at some point, the ownership has to take responsibility. But what ownership does time and time again, no matter what sport it is, they just fire and replace, fire and replace, fire and replace. Let somebody else come take the blame, The Giants just fired Dabo, right? Yeah. Now, guess what? Somebody else is going to come in and take the blame in 2 years. At the end of next year, when the Giants still suck, everybody going to be like, oh, he's not the coach for the job. Watch what I say. This is just what happens. If somebody comes in, takes Nico's job, and they don't get nothing done and nothing starts spinning, or they gut the team, and then the team, they don't really get nothing for it, and then everybody will be like, oh, look, it's the coach. No, it's fucking ownership for putting him in that position and giving him time. Yes, you want to give somebody time, but you got to give the right person time. It's the exact same thing I said about the Browns, bro. You got to get the right person in there and then give him time. You cannot sit here and think the guy is the right person. You cannot think that. You feel me? Boston loses E-Man. They get Musala. Like, you gotta know that the guy that you're putting in place is the guy. Like, you to run it the way that you see fit. But when the players don't come in the way they are, and when the games ain't being played the way they are, yeah, GM, motherfucking coach. But when that stuff starts to carry on and nobody does anything about it, and he's in that position 6, 7, 8 years, and you keep renewing him and signing him back, then hey, that shit falls on you.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's a good point. That's very true.
Some people are just bad franchises, bro. They ran the wrong way. And that's been the history of sports. It's been the history of sports.
Honestly, yeah. And a lot of people don't realize just how neglectful a lot of owners are and just how focused on the money that they are. And they don't really care about true success. As long as the money looks good and as long as the accounts are up to par, they can care less about if their team is successful. And honestly, and you see that a lot with a lot of these smaller market teams, to where they will maybe draft well, they maybe get a star. We'll take Memphis for example, right? Small market team, they drafted well, they got a few budding stars or a few stars, right? John Moran, Jaren Jackson Jr., the muscle hamster that's now in freaking what the fuck? I forgot where freaking Desmond Bain went.
The Magic.
Yes, thank you. But obviously they looked good, right? And obviously they were really competitive. But when it came to paying these guys, when it came to extending their contracts, right? Some guys were expendable, some guys weren't, right? And I think that comes down to ownership, right? Because we can have head coaches, we can have GMs that are like, yeah, no, we got to pay this guy. You know what I mean? We got to pay. We got to get this guy. We got to solidify our stars. And ownership can be like, no. Like ownership can legitimately say no. And what the fuck the coach or the GM gonna do about it? What the player gonna do about it? They ain't gonna do shit about it, right? Can't do shit about it. They don't own the team. So ownership can be like, no, I'm good. You can trade him. Or we can offer him this. Because as an owner, they feel like he's not worth that much. Which brings us back to our original conversation that we had a few weeks ago, right? How involved are these owners, and should they be more involved? Should they be on the floor? Should they be on the court? So they can understand who these type of players are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and what can help the team be successful in the future. Or are they just going to be the typical owner, kind of just sit back in the press box, show up to games whenever they want, collect their money, sip on a little yak, and go to fuck home?
Steve Ballman, if that's how you say his name, he does it.
Yeah, brother's at every game.
Every game, watching his players, understanding what the team needs. Get them out there. Get them up out there. If they got to get up out there. You feel me?
Yeah, Joe Lacob every game.
But some owners just wait till the pressure's on, and then they get rid of a guy and be like, all right, the pressure's off now. We get a new guy in here. Nah, that's bad organizations. Yeah. Bad organization all the way around. Shit, and I'm not saying the Mavs are bad, but the Mavs have been a middle of the pack team most of the history of the Mavs.
And I feel like the more involved owners are the more successful teams. Like you see the Joe Lacobs, you see, like you said, the Steve Ballmers, you see, even though Mark Cuban is taking a step back, brother's still at every single goddamn game. The Bus family, right? Like, yeah, she's just a governor now, but at every goddamn game, she don't care. She's not gonna miss a fucking game, right? And she's still able to tell you the ins and outs of the Lakers and what they need because she's there on the floor at every single game, possibly at every practice, looking at the team, evaluating the team, getting into it with the coaches, getting into it with the GMs, letting them know, like, hey, yo, this is probably what we need. They're coming to her. You're like, hey, yo, this is what we need, et cetera, right? And like, shoot, with the Celtics, right? Brad Stevens, right? When him going up to the him going up from a head coach to the GM spot, obviously because he felt like his expertise was needed in other spaces, not directly on the basketball floor, right? And the ownership group understood that, right? Yes, we understand Danny Ainge is a legend. Yes, we understand that he was bred and built in this organization, but that doesn't mean that we can't get somebody else in here who was also bred and built within this organization and Brad Stevens as a coach and elevate him to a spot to where he can still be very, very helpful and get our team to a certain level of success and still be heavily involved with the players and still be heavily involved with the game of basketball. So yes, he is on the business side, but at the same time, he can still be heavily involved with the players, with the game of basketball, because we as owners understand that that is the expertise that he's bringing to our organization when we do elevate him up. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of ownerships don't do that. And you see that reflect on their team's success and why they stay stagnant. So when your team is bad, ask yourself what your owners are doing.
You could definitely tell the owners that care from the owners that don't.
That's true.
But shifting to the little bit to the right, staying with Dallas, there's 3 players on Dallas right now. We're going to start with Klay Thompson. I'm hearing a little bit of reports that Klay ain't happy with the Mavs and could be looking for a buyout so he can sign with the Lakers. How are you feeling about that news, Mulich?
I feel like it's interesting because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter where you go. You still have to play better. And specifically for somebody like Klay, I don't think the Lakers
better environments help people play better, though, Mulich.
This is true, but I don't think that LA specifically would be a better place for Klay because he might end up getting the Russell Westbrook treatment, and I don't think that's necessarily fair to him because of how he's playing now, right? And I'm not saying
Klay Brickson.
You said what?
Klay Brickson?
I mean, shoot. Who's to say he won't get better if he does end up going to LA? But I'm
coming to Boston.
I think that's a better spot. Honestly think that's a better spot because we know how LA and their fans are, right? We see it with every single free agent. We see it with every single trade. We see it with every single draft pick that they've ever acquired, right? You come to LA, there's a specific spotlight on you. There's a specific stature that you have to reach when you play there, right? So I do think the way that Klay is playing now, I don't think that him going to LA would help his case because a lot of people in LA are very, very vocal about their players and about how they play and about their team, right? So if he goes in and he's still not playing well or not playing as well as they want him to play, a lot of the narratives are going to go towards Klay Thompson. A lot of the fans are going to start to turn against him, and I don't think that's necessarily fair to him. I do think that he should go to another competitor. I just don't think that it should be market like LA with such a fan-heavy, opinionated base to where it can literally. We've seen how it was with Russ. We've seen how it was with all these other free agents that went to LA, and the fans vitriol, the fans or the social media, the narratives, right? Because LA is a big market, right? It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest market in the NBA outside of Boston, right? So a lot of the news, a lot of the narratives that we're going to see on these sports networks, on these tabloids, are going to see, oh, Klay Thompson goes to LA, he's still playing bad. Why is Klay Thompson this? Why is Klay Thompson that? And we understand what that does to a player's mental, right? So all I'm saying is go to a team to where, yes, you're still going to be competitive, but you don't have that big a spotlight on you to where it's going to essentially make or break your career.
I mean, I agree, but I do think that it could be Clay, and it could be just them leg injuries that kind of took his game from him, or it could just be the environment he's in. Because you got to realize too, another thing like what Clay is, Clay didn't want to leave Golden State.
That's true.
Clay did not want to leave Golden State. He did not want to be on the Mavs. He wished he was still playing with his boy Steph Curry. And then what eases that a little bit is you get to play with a guy like Luka, right? And you get to play alongside that guy. You don't really have to be the main focus. You just do what you do. But now that Luka's gone, it kind of makes it hard because one, you're not with your splash, bro. You're not on the team you want to be on. And then the guy that kind of could keep you there is no longer there. And now you have to ask yourself, is Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis enough? Even though Clay isn't that guy, right? It's not enough watching, but is it enough to keep Clay there? And I don't right. And I don't think it is. I don't know how long Clay lasts in the league. I'm just gonna be honest, right? With the way he's performing now, if he gets another chance on another team and he does the same thing, I don't know how many teams are going to be willing to sign him or give him money or a lot of money, substantially, maybe a veteran, contract, the veteran's minimum. But I hate to say it, but Clay could be on his way out. I don't know what the Mavs get for Clay if they trade him. I don't know. I don't know what his value is right now because I would think that his value is almost on the ground. That's just me. I would think that it's low enough to step on.
That's the unfortunate part about it because it's not only the way that he's playing right now, it's the contract that he comes with. So he would have to take a lesser role, right? So that whole attitude or pouting because he has to come off the bench, that can't happen if you want to go to another team, because that's the reason why we've seen Carmelo and the narratives that they try to put on Russ, right? And a lot of other veterans that are starting to come towards the end of their career, right? So you're gonna have to take a lesser role. You're gonna have to go to the bench. You're gonna have to start playing better, and the money that you're asking for has to make sense for a specific team, right? Especially if you want to go to a competitor. We understand. Troy talked about it earlier. That second apron. People ain't gonna pay you $100 million plus to play bad and be on the bench.
Shit, just go back to Golden State. See if they take you back.
So and that's the reason
why you still ain't gonna get paid. You still ain't gonna get paid, but at least you get to go back and play with Steph. You feel me?
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the reason why I feel like he shouldn't go to LA because I feel like LA is going to do the dumb shit and fucking try to overpay him. And then two, he's going to.
Well, if he want his money, then go to LA.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They're going to do some dumb shit and overpay him. And then two, he's going to have so much spotlight on him because he's going to be looked at.
I don't know about that because they got to pay Austin Reeves.
That's true too.
They're going to have to pay Austin. They got to keep him. They let him go. That's who.
Yeah, that'll be bad. But he'll just have an unnecessary spotlight on him. And I just don't think that'll be fair for him at this point in time in his career. Just go somewhere to where you can kind of, come off the bench, get you a few little shots going in, play some defense and, ride your career out that way. Don't try to be a starter. Don't try to be a superstar and all this other extra stuff and get this big. No, it's not that time for that.
All right, so another part of the Dallas Mavericks is what do they do with AD and Kyrie? Because I did saw a clip earlier, and Nick Wright from First Thing First was saying that you got to blow it up. You got to trade Kyrie and AD. He's only played 14 games out of 44. Is it too early to call? I mean, do you give up on AD already? And what kind of position is that putting Cooper Flag in? I know he's a rookie. He really ain't got that much stain just off his college name, but you kind of want to put yourself in a position where you are kind of a good team, but to go through a whole fucking rebuild, maybe AD, if you could find a replacement, who would you replace him with? I don't know. But Kyrie, I don't think you give up Kyrie. I think Kyrie's a stretch. I think Kyrie has to stay there. I don't give up Kyrie.
Honestly, I don't think you give up either one of them.
Me either. But if you're gonna give up AD, I can understand. But Kyrie, no. When he's on the court, he definitely gives you something. AD too, but I think AD is a lot more injury prone than Kyrie is.
That's true. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, right? That's the toggle point that I'm at. Is I really don't. If I'm the front office of the Mavs, I really don't want to get rid of either one of them. Right? I kind of want to wait it out to see what I got when I got a healthy squad. Right? I got a healthy Coop, I got a healthy PJ, I got a healthy Kyrie, I got a healthy Clay, I got a healthy AD, and then I got a healthy Gaffer, I got a healthy Likely. Like I want to. If I'm a GM, I want to see that. But if I do have to come up off somebody, then I think it might. AD makes the most sense because yes, we understand his injury history. We understand that he doesn't necessarily stay healthy throughout the season. But at the same time, he is a player that, when healthy, he is one of the best defenders in the league and still a top offensive player in the league. And saying that, you can get something nice for him if you do decide to trade him based off that narrative alone, right? We understand that, yes, he's a champion and stuff like that. But like I said, when healthy, he is one of the best defenders in the league and still a top offensive player in the league. So if you did want to offload him to another contender, maybe in the East, probably not the West, because we understand how, the Mavs are, that would make a lot of sense. Because like Troy said, I'm not giving up. I'm not coming off of Kyrie. I'm not coming off of PJ Washington. And I'm definitely not coming off of Likely or Gafford, because they're the young kind of healthy defensive studs that you need in that middle. And you don't want to give up that for wishy-washy AD. So, I mean, if it did come down to trade somebody, I understand why it would be AD. I just don't think I would do it. I think I would kind of wait it out. We still got a really young team that we can mix with some vets, and I think we can make some magic happen if we just get everybody on the court at one time.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so we talked about Jai last episode. Could be out of the Grizzlies, off the Grizzlies. We're getting some reports that Jai to the Bucks, and now I'm hearing the Kings have an eye on him. Houston could make a trade for him. I think we kind of already talked about this, so we ain't going to spend too long on it, kind of where we think Jai best fit is. But if you had to pick between those three teams, the Bucks, the Kings, and Houston, where would you say Jai fits best? Because we both are going to say the Bucks. You think Jai, Giannis, Bobby Portis? Oh no, I'm sorry. Prime Bobby Portis out there.
Prime Bobby Portis.
But just a giant Giannis duo, that shit would be sick. But I don't know if it necessarily works, because Giannis does need the ball in his hand a lot. And I know you can go pick and roll alley-oop with Jai, but I don't know if that actually happens. Jai's an explosive player, so he needs the ball in his hand just as much to get to the rack, to dunk on people, to get in his groove. So could be a conflict of who gets the ball when they get the ball. Is Jai at the age to take the sacrifice? Because he is going to somebody else's team, but it also is he's coming off of having his own team. So I think a lot goes into that.
I don't think the Bucks make sense. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't think the Bucks have enough shooters, and I think they're like you said, Giannis needs the ball in his hands, John needs the ball in his hands. They're both explosive players. They're both to the rim kind of players. They play more closer to the rim instead of outside the key. So I really don't think that one makes a lot more sense. If anything, I think the team that really makes the most sense is, and I know a lot of people are probably going to be shocked by this, but it's honestly Sacramento. I think Ja is the player that needs shooters around, and I think that's the reason why it worked so well in Memphis when they were all healthy and they had that young, explosive team. Is they had some really solid shooters around Ja that covered up his shooting floor, but at the same time, it made them a lot more spacious and a lot more explosive from the outside. Looking at Sacramento, right, you already have a really good player in Russ that can easily come off the bench. And then you have a young guy like Keegan Murray. You have Keon Ellis. I'm pretty sure that Malik Monk might, or I'm almost positive Malik Monk is going to be in that trade package to get Josh, so he's probably as good as gone. I don't know about Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan. I figure you want to try to keep one of them so you can keep spacing on the floor and get some really good, really solid three-point shooting. So you probably try to end up keeping LaVine. But at the same time, I don't really know how you make that work because, again, DeMar DeRozan is another player that really needs the ball in his hand. So you might end up coming off of him. Like I said, just to keep LaVine so you get that more shooting. And then also you got DeMontis in the middle. And then they did just bring in, damn, I freaking forgot his name, but he's been playing really well for him as of lately, another big in the middle. So I think you surround Ja with some really solid shooters and some kind of not necessarily vets in a sense, but some guys that have been in the league and have been around the league and have been around the way longer than he has, so they can kind of stir him in the right direction as far as his off the court antics. Because I think Houston is, although they're really fiery and I guess they're kind of young, excluding Kevin Durant, I guess if you want to put it in that sense. They're still really young. So I think putting Ja on a young team to where you have a lot of guys that are ball dominant and Alfred Sengun, KD, and then you add a Ja, I just don't think it'll work. But I do think that Sacramento is missing a true ball dominant kind of guy outside of a two guard. So if you get a really good one in there and kind of bolster that bench, I think you got something because Doug Christie is a good coach. So I think that's the one that makes the most sense. I know the T-Wolves were closely monitoring Ja too, said that last week, and they have been closely monitoring the situation as well. So we'll see, I guess, how that goes. Because I don't know how it works with the T-Wolves, Ja Morant and Edwards, but you never know.
Never know. I'm going to say Kings definitely, but I'm just not sure about the Kings either with Westbrook, and he could kind of find himself in a position with Ja being there where he's not getting much playing time because Ja is that explosive of a player. Houston makes no sense to me unless you're going to get rid of Van Vliet.
Yeah.
Don't see you doing that. But you never know. Should the Hornets blow it up? Should they get rid of LaMelo? I mean, LaMelo is young. He could definitely give a contending team or a team that's like right there on the cusp that need a superstar or a star to turn shit around. He could give him a chance. Should they trade him? Hell no. For who? For what? Shit. You stupid. He just signed a big contract, didn't he?
Yep, sure did.
You listen, Troy has said it once. Troy would say it again. They signed the contract, they play the contract. Unless you feel they're not living up to the contract. Or unless they feel like you're not living up to giving them a good enough team, and they bounce. As you know, Boo-Wop and the rest of the guys like it. I like guys to finish their contract. So should the Hornets trade LaMelo? No, don't think so. Will they? Probably at some point.
Probably at some point. I wouldn't doubt it. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't think they should. I really don't think they should.
You can build around them for years to come.
I think you can. You got so look, just looking at this team, bro, right? LaMelo, 24, Miles Bridges, 27, Pat Connaughton is 32, Josh Green is 24, Zion Williams, 22, Con Knipple is 20, Trey Mann is 24. Like the oldest guy on their team is 35, and that's Mason Plumlee. And like I said, just looking at the outlook of this team, right? I don't think that trading LaMelo, I don't think that the kind of blowing it up is the answer here. I just think that you need to, one, draft a really good big from or draft or sign a really good big, either in free agency or from the draft, right? And then I do think that you need another coach. I think that is kind of where the problems lie in the Hornets. I don't see that the players aren't like bad players. Like I think they have some really solid players, and they've had some really good picks over the past few years. But I do think that maybe a coaching change might be in order at this point in time.
We will see what they do.
You know, to kind of see if you can unlock a LaMelo, if you can blend this offense to where it can be a really fiery, explosive offense. Because you got a LaMelo, you got a Miles Bridges, you got Con Knipple who can shoot out the fucking gym, right? You got Colin Sexton who can come off the bench. Like, you got a really solid team. It's just how can you put it all together? And I think that's been the biggest problem with Charlotte. So not saying that all the blame is on the coaches. I think that a lot of blame has to do with the ownership as well, because we understand that Michael Jordan was part of that ownership group, and then he, took a step back and allowed some other people to step in there. So I do think that they probably need to reevaluate some things in the front office and see which kind of coach that they can get in there to kind of unlock this offense for these young players. Oh, you want mute, big dog? You want mute?
Sorry, I said you kind of don't want to waste Melo. So the only way I see you kind of trading him is you feel like you ain't trying to turn the team around, and he wants to be on a winning team. He doesn't want to go, and you thinking about rebuilding. And yeah, I got you. Last name that I kind of just want to touch on, Larry Marketing to the Pistons is what I'm hearing.
Really?
Is it? Let me see. Is it? Yeah.
Really?
Larry Marketing maybe to the Pistons.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
And this mock-up, it says the Utah will get Tobias Harris, Jalen Ivory, Ron Hollins the second, 28 first-round pick, top 3 protected, and a 30 first-round pick, top 3 protected.
Wow. So they'd be able to do that without coming off of Jalen Duran or Duncan Robinson?
That's what Bleacher Report is saying.
Still having Isaiah Stewart, Karis LeVert come up. That wouldn't be bad. Kay Cunningham is balling right now. I can kind of see how that or why that would make sense, right? You get Cade, a kind of another running mate, and Lauri Markkanen. They can kind of bolster that middle with Lauri and Jalen Duran, and then you got a Sora Thompson who's really good. Small forward, we all know what Duncan Robinson can do, but I do think that you can switch those guys now. I think you can put Duncan back if that trade were to go off. I think you could put Duncan back at his true position as small forward, and then put a Sora back at his true position as shooting guard, and you can probably make magic with that. But I'm not gonna lie to you, that's a really interesting trade. I do want to see Lauri somewhere else other than the Jazz. I do think he's kind of being wasted over there because we understand the type of player that he's been ever since that he got drafted to Chicago. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would love to see that because, like I said, the Pistons are one of the teams that is poised, I guess, to make a jump. That's what Bleacher Report was saying earlier on this season. A lot of people on Twitter, a lot of the NBA spaces have the Pistons and Orlando Magic poised to make a specific kind of jump this year. So if we understand the Magic last year with the acquirements of, KCP, and then, they signed Franz Wagner and they bring in some other guys. So they're solidifying their spot or their jump. So it would be definitely good to see the Pistons do the same thing to, stay competitive in the East.
We'll see some good moves, some shocking moves, some unexpected moves. They will be made by the deadline. We still got a ways to go before that. But we do got some big names in the mix that could be traded. Let's just see where that goes. Last thing we're going to do today, I got some duos, Moo. And I want you to know, so 5 duos, just want you to know if you agree that it's time to split them up.
Okay.
So we're going to start with one that we just got done talking about, Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. Do you think they need to split up?
Yes. I think it's about that time.
What about Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell?
Yep. They actually should have split up last year. I thought that was going to happen. I'm not going to lie to you, but I guess it didn't.
Well, we didn't think Donovan was going to re-sign with him, remember?
Yeah, that's true. And remember, we thought that if Donovan did resign, that would
get rid of Garland.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right. What about Paolo and Frank Wagner?
No.
I think that's too. Think Bleacher Report wilding on that one a little too early. Little too early. We got Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. You think it's time for them to split up, Moo?
No.
After what? A season and a half?
No. I know why a lot of people are calling for that, but no. I actually want to see them stick it out. I want to see the next team stick it out and be successful for once.
They got to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid.
We haven't really seen that duo like that.
That's why I think it's time to split them and you get rid of Joel.
Yeah, I think.
And that's coming from a Joel guy.
Yeah, I think
that's coming from a Joel guy.
Yeah, and honestly, yeah, like Troy said, it's coming from we're Joel guys here.
Listen,
right? So I think because of that reason, yeah, it might be time to come up off of Joel Embiid.
Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, which is another one we just touched on.
Yeah, I think in order to get younger blood in there, yeah. Not saying DeMar is old or anything like that. I feel like going younger with the Kings is probably the best bet.
If they can, I'm going to say that. If they can, I'll say that with the Kings, with the Zach and DeMar. If you can. Yeah. If you can, it's not a bad duo to have, especially with the additions that you have and Russ playing the way he's playing off the bench. I think it can survive another year or so. Last duo, LeBron James and the Lakers. Yes. Bleacher Report is retarded, bro.
Yes, and LeBron James should be trying to pair up with retirement.
Yes, he said repair with retirement.
Trying to pair up with retirement, big dog. It's about that time.
Hey, he's practicing with the G League.
To be a coach?
They'd be like LeBron's first game back this Thursday. Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. LeBron James traded. Like, excuse me, he was just about to play his first game on Thursday.
Play his first game with the South Bay Lakers.
Yeah, they done traded that nigga to the Hong Kong Dragons.
We'll trade that nigga to the fucking Shanghai Tigers.
They traded that nigga for the script to White Man Can't Jump 2 and 3 featuring LeBron James. It was like, nah, it was the script. You're not fucking up no more movies, nigga. You ain't fucking up no more movies.
We'll trade that man to the Australian Land Sharks.
Man, they done traded him to the Iraqi Taliban. Like, fucking got him up out of here. Where am I going, coach? You're gonna play basketball in Iran. Like, excuse me?
The Egypt sandstorms, nigga.
Exactly. Fucking full on fucking sand in your mouth, nigga. LeBron dunks it, but he can't breathe. He's spitting up sand.
Basketball, bro.
These niggas got full on gear. He could take all the steroids he want then over there, you know. Him and Charles Sutton could go together. Charles Sutton could be the coach of the team.
I heard the steroids over there is just adding nothing but camel hump fluid.
Yeah, he might just get humped by a camel. Who knows? Get him out of there, Lakers. Get him out of there. You don't need that guy no more. You got AR. You got AR-12, nigga. AR-15 and Luka Doncic.
AR-15, Luka Doncic, and my boy Dalton.
Yeah. Listen, I'll take the hit, nigga. Wave him. Let somebody get him for free. Because from what I'm hearing, nobody really want him. That's what I'm hearing.
Because nobody want to play with him.
Now, what I'm hearing is teams don't want LeBron. That's what I'm hearing.
Because a lot of these teams are younger, and we understand how LeBron does young talent, and a lot of these guys don't want to come off their young talent just for a guy named LeBron James who's on his way out.
So yes, I'm gonna say Lakers break it up. Any duos that we didn't name that you think should break up besides Jaylen Brown and Jason? Oh wait, Boo, I'm not here.
That's one duo that should never break up. Honestly, it should always stay together.
If Boo was here, that has to be the first one he named. Where they don't got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown up there, they need to break up. We've seen it already, Troy. We've seen it already.
And they won a championship, so
right. That's exactly what I was thinking. We won a ring. We've seen it before, but what?
We seen them win a championship, so probably not. Nah.
Well, I was a Bulls fan, and they lost Michael Jordan, and then they never got back to being good enough to win a championship. So he just stopped repping them. But deep down inside, he's still a Bulls fan. But if the Bulls go on a 10, let's say 8-year run of 50 wins in the Eastern Conference Finals, all 6-7 seasons, I'm a Bulls fan. I've always been a Bulls fan. I told y'all that. I've always been a Bulls. I beat Bull.
I mean,
I've always been a Bulls fan.
We're gonna have to get Willie on here to talk about his Bulls, man, because the Bulls actually looking really solid right now.
They are. What is before we bust out of here real quick? Let's see what those standings are looking like. Because we know. All right. Pistons are 9-2. Mm-hmm. Surprise, surprise. We got Knicks at 6-3. Heat at 7-4. Surprise, surprise. Cavaliers 7-4. Bucks 7-4. Chicago 6-4. Philly 6-4. Atlanta 6-5. Toronto 5-5. Boston 5-6. Got to fix that. Orlando 5-6. Orlando, I expect more from you. Charlotte 3-7. Brooklyn 1-9. Indiana Pacers without their star point guard 1-9. Washington Wizards without Jordan Poole 1-10. All right, Thunder, the defending champs. Damn, they are the champs. 10-1.
10-1.
10-1. Damn. Spurs 8-2. Denver 7-2. Lakers 8-3. Rockets 6-3. Minnesota 7-4. Golden State 6-5. Phoenix 6-5. Phoenix is whoa. What y'all doing up there? Portland 5-5. Grizzlies 4-7. That's bad, son. Kings 3-7. Jazz 3-7. Clippers, god damn, 3-7. Mavs 3-8. Pelicans with Jordan Poole 2-9.
And a skinny Zion.
He got one more win than the team that traded his ass. Sorry, my best friend daughter calling me. But yeah, got one more win than the team that traded his ass. So far, good season. We'll see you guys back on Thursday. Moo, take us out.
Hey, man, you already know what it is. Another fire show. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, keep commenting, keep liking, keep subscribing. We can keep going up. Make sure you guys pop back in tomorrow. Gentlemen's Talk got another fire show. Thursday, we coming back at you. Basket to Basket Part 2. Friday, Inside the Huddle. And I know we missed on Saturday, but you already know we're gonna be fucking back Saturday. Inside the Huddle Unplugged, Inside the Huddle Round Talk, Inside the Huddle, whatever the fuck it is. From the sideline, we coming at y'all on Saturday for the whole goddamn Round Talk. Hopefully we can get all of the fellas on the panel so we can have a live show. But you guys already know, keep liking, keep commenting, keep subscribing, keep coming back, because we not gonna stop until we get that plaque in the back. You already know what it is. We're gonna see y'all tomorrow.